Yeah, please. Sounds like I should put my pocket money into it.
No, it's not. So what we're doing is that we're making hydrogen generators as a product. Because if we make them cheap, then it's within 40 different countries for rapid seasonal storage, diesel generators, refueling planes, lots of wonderful things.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And it's already in use.
Yes.
Yeah?
Your
Try and separate out hydrogen and
Exactly. So oxygen out, hydrogen out. And as you can see,
use plastic.
that's a secret sauce, but nothing special. That's why it makes it cost effective. So you can mass produce them and make more impact. So going to hydrogen expense within spectrum.
Are you serious?
That's it. Yes.
How much energy do you have to use?
So not much. That's how much. It's really not much. How much hydrogen you get out. And you know the river simplifies.
There's a button here saying stop. So I press that. Fantastic. Congratulations.
So that's three of the finalists.
Your Royal Highness, Your Excellencies, Lords,
अन्य देश के लीडर्स की उपस्थिति के लिए भी उन सबका हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Very nice to see you again. Prime Minister.
Hello, Rebecca.
Of course. First order of business, that was.
Okay, everybody.
Prime Minister, one last please, if you don't mind. It'd be great. Why don't you do
1.5. Do we use my 1.5 sign?
Clean technologies and drive down.
Okay,
This way, Prime Minister.
1.5.
I didn't get it.
By the line.
Right down my length, Prime Minister. Right down here, please.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Bit closer in.
To everyone. Countries, businesses.
I am Dana Strong, Chief Executive of at least 50%. It is an honor to be here moderating this event where we will see leaders, businesses, affordable and attractive options. Uhuru Kenyatta, President of the Republic of Kenya.
Above all, they're in power generation. And we can fix it. Go back to that initial statistic that I began with.
Thank you, President Biden, for telling us more about the First Movers Coalition and aims for climate initiative.
Et vos objectifs pour l'initiative climat. Nous allons ensuite entendre un discours du président du Kenya.
private sector that we have to bring along too, to invest, to scale up the technologies that are already at the horizon, like renewable hydrogen or precision and carbon farming. It's reform and regulation and investment that we have to bring together public and
Action économique, de développement et d'environnement. Je vous remercie tous.
Thank you, President Kenyatta.
Merci, Monsieur
We
le
will
Président
now hear from
Kenyatta.
President
Nous allons
von der Leyen of the
entendre
European Commission at
un
the left
discours de la
lectern.
présidente von der Leyen, présidente de la Commission européenne.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, fellow leaders,
Mesdames et Messieurs,
I
Vos
welcome
Excellences,
and endorse the World Leaders Summit.
Thank you. It's clear that countries across the globe
And that so well and who's achieved absolutely extraordinary things in his own country of India as the Prime Minister, right up to Kenyan standards, Uhuru, but it's been pretty sunny today. And there are many days in which, thanks to our combination of solar and wind, in handing over to Narendra. Over to you.
वन वर्ल्ड वन ग्रिड की मेरी कई सालों पुरानी परिकल्पना, कई देश तो समृद्ध हुए, किंतु हमारी
But setting ambitious targets is only half of the equation. Innovation, developing, demonstrating, and commercializing new clean
innovation, breakthrough innovation, to bring the newest climate technologies to the market in Europe. Immediately after this session, Bill and I
on my right. Thank you, President von der Leyen. It's really exciting to hear about the European Commission's leadership on innovation, including through mission innovation and now the new.
Ravi de nous voir y aborder le thème de parmi eux figurent ceux de la recherche, innovation et de l'énergie. La transition énergétique est un choix politique volontaire des énergies renouvelables, efficacité énergique et intégration régionale. L'ensemble orienté vers l'innovation adaptée et le contenu projet sont en cours de développement ou de mise en œuvre. Dans la continuité de ces efforts en vue de pointe de la technologie dans le domaine des énergies propres, et ce, afin d'accompagner cette transition énergétique. Dans ce cadre, un réseau de plateformes de recherche d'innovation a été mis en place. Sont en cours de développement portant sur l'hydrogène, la biomasse, le Nexus.
Your Excellency, we are running out of time. Namibia is a victim of climate change. Yet it is.
What a great pleasure it is to participate in this leaders event on accelerating clean energy, technology, innovation and deployment. And I believe that this event provides us all with a unique opportunity to accelerate innovation and the deployment of clean energy solutions to meet the goals that we set out in Paris. Kenya recognizes the value and the interconnectedness between energy, climate change, and people, and the critical role of achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, as well as the Paris Agreement on climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, demand for energy is on the rise, and there are 759 million people in the world who today have no access to electricity, while 3 billion people do not have access to clean cooking fuels and technologies. At the same time, the energy sector accounts for 3/4 of greenhouse gas emissions, and the critical challenge, therefore, is how to reduce carbon emissions from the energy sector while ensuring that all people have access to clean energy. We therefore need urgently to develop new clean energy technologies that meet the energy demand without exasperating greenhouse gas emissions. We in Kenya have made significant progress in advancing access to affordable and clean energy for all. And in this regard, we have increased access to electricity from below 30% in 2013 to over 75% in 2020. We have installed the biggest wind power plant in sub-Saharan Africa and are steadily exploiting and deploying available geothermal potential, currently estimated at some 10,000 megawatts, to help us push our green agenda. In these developments, Kenya has demonstrated that it is possible to achieve ambitious development goals while remaining green. Renewable energy in Kenya currently accounts for 73% of all our installed power generation capacity, and while 90% of the electricity that we use is from clean sources. We are on course to achieve our goal, our target of 100% use of clean energy by 2030, and to achieve a 100% access in clean cooking by 2028. In the framework Thank you. In the framework of the high-level dialogue on energy that was held in September of this year, Kenya continues to play the role of a global theme champion on energy access with a specific focus on clean cooking. And to demonstrate our commitment, Kenya did submit an energy compact on clean cooking, indicating clear actions towards achieving universal adoption and use of clean cooking solutions, advancing the achievements of SDG 7, which is to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. We appreciate that low-carbon energy technologies offer more sustainable ways to meet energy demand to fuel economies while simultaneously reducing greenhouse gases. However, access to and deployment of these technologies remains a persistent barrier. Nonetheless, Kenya's long and medium-term policies underpin a pathway to sustainable and resilient economic growth characterized by clean and healthy environment. Countries must therefore invest more in research and innovation, including addressing challenges of technology transfer to accelerate innovations and deployment of technologies in the energy sector. Further, there is need to promote public-private partnerships and collaboration through creative efforts to foster international partnerships, information sharing, and indeed establish novel financing schemes. We in Kenya reaffirm our commitment and resolve to work with others to accelerate climate solutions, keep to 1.5 degrees, and to ensure solutions are accessible and indeed affordable for all. We join the world today in launching the Breakthrough Agenda and say that Kenya is committed to working together with all countries to accelerate the development and deployment of clean technologies and sustainable solutions. Specifically, we endorse the proposed Glasgow breakthroughs pertaining to power and green hydrogen in the energy sector and look forward to transitioning and eventually exiting from the use of coal to clean power. Further, as a commitment to fight against climate change, part of Kenya's long-term strategy that is being finalized, and depending on levels of international support, as well as the principles of equity and fairness, we project to meet net zero target by 2050. We urge all parties to step up their ambition in making clean technologies the most affordable, accessible, an attractive option in their social, economic, and development interventions. I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, President Kenyatta.
And the profound question is before us. It's simple. Will we act? Will we do what is necessary? Will we seize the enormous opportunity before us? Or will we condemn future generations to suffer? This is the decade that will determine the answer, this decade. The science is clear. We only have a brief window left before us to raise our ambitions and to meet the task that's rapidly narrowing. This is a decisive decade in which we have an opportunity to prove ourselves. We can keep the goal of limiting global warming to just 1.5 degrees Celsius within our reach if we come together. If we commit to doing our part of each of our nations with determination and with ambition. That's what COP26 is all about. Glasgow must be the kickoff of a decade of ambition and innovation to preserve our shared future. Climate change is already ravaging the world. We've heard from many speakers. It's not hypothetical. It's not a hypothetical threat. It's destroying people's lives and livelihoods, and doing it every single day. It's costing our nations trillions of dollars. Record heat and drought, fueling more widespread and more intense wildfires in some places and crop failures in others. Record flooding and what used to be a once-in-a-century storms are now happening every few years. In the past few months, the United States has experienced all of this, and every region of the world can tell similar stories. And in an age where this pandemic is made so painfully clear that no nation can wall itself off from borderless threats, we know that none of us can escape the worst that's yet to come if we fail to seize this moment. But ladies and gentlemen, within the growing catastrophe, I believe there's an incredible opportunity, not just for the United States, but for all of us. We're standing at an inflection point in world history. We have the ability to invest in ourselves and build an equitable, clean energy future, and in the process, create millions of good-paying jobs and opportunities around the world. Cleaner air for our children, more bountiful oceans, healthier forests and ecosystems for our planet. We can create an environment that raises the standard of living around the world. And this is a moral imperative, but it's also an economic imperative. If we fuel greater growth, new jobs, better opportunities for all our people, and as we see current volatility in energy prices, rather than cast it as a reason to back off our clean energy goals, we must view it as a call to action. High energy prices only reinforce the urgent need to diversify sources, double down on clean energy development, and adapt promising new clean energy technologies so we can not only we don't remain overly reliant on one source of power to power our economies and our communities. It's in the self-interest of every single nation. And this is a chance, in my view, to make a generational investment in our economic resilience and in our workers and our communities throughout the world. That's what we're going to do in the United States. My Build Back Better framework will make historic investments in clean energy, the most significant investment to deal with the climate crisis that any advanced nation has made ever. We're going to cut U.S. greenhouse gas emissions by well over a gigaton by 2030, while making it more affordable for consumers to save on their own energy bills, with tax credits for things like installing solar panels, weatherizing their homes. Lowering energy prices will also deliver cleaner air and water for our children, electrifying fleets of school buses, increasing credits for electric vehicles, and addressing legacy pollution. It will incentivize clean energy manufacturing, building the solar panels and the wind turbines that are growing energy markets of the future, which will create good-paying union jobs for American workers, and something that none of us should lose sight of. When I talk to the American people about climate change, I tell them it's about jobs. It's about workers who will lay thousands of miles of transmission lines of clean, modern, resilient power grid. The auto workers who build the next generation of electric vehicles and electricians who will install a nationwide network of 500,000 vehicle stations to power them throughout my country. The engineers who will design new carbon capture systems, and the construction workers who will make them a reality. The farmers who will not only help fight global hunger, but also use the soil to fight climate change. The communities that revitalize themselves around new industries and opportunities. And because we are taking all these actions, the United States will be able to meet the ambitious target I set in the Leaders Summit in Climate back in April, reducing U.S. emissions by 50 to 52% below 2005 levels by 2030. We'll demonstrate to the world the United States is not only back at the table, but hopefully leading by the power of our example. I know it hasn't been the case, and that's why my administration is working overtime to show that our climate commitment is action, not words. On my very first day in office, I took action to return the United States to the Paris Agreement. Since then, our administration has been hard at work unlocking clean energy breakthroughs to drive down the cost of technologies that will require us to achieve net zero emissions, and working with the private sector on the next generation of technologies that will power a clean economy of the future. Over the next several days, the United States will be announcing new initiatives to demonstrate our commitment to providing innovative solutions across multiple sectors, from agriculture to oil and gas, to combating deforestation, to tackling hard and to abate industries. We're planning for both short-term sprint to 2030 that will keep 1.5 degrees Celsius in reach, and for a marathon that will take us to the finish line and transform the largest economy in the world into a thriving, innovative, equitable, and just clean energy engine of net zero for a net zero world. That's why today I'm releasing the U.S. long-term strategy, which presents a vision of achieving the United States goal of net zero emissions economy-wide by no later than 2050, and reinforces an absolutely critical nature of taking bold action in the decisive decade. We're also going to try to do our part when it comes to helping the rest of the world take action as well. We want to do more to help countries around the world, especially developing countries, accelerate their clean energy transition, address pollution, and ensure the world we all must share a cleaner, safer, healthier planet. We have an obligation to help. At the United Nations in September, I announced that my administration is working with the Congress to quadruple our climate finance support for developing countries by 2024, including significant increases in support for adaptation efforts. This commitment is made possible to each of our collective goals of mobilizing $100 billion annually for climate finance, but mobilizing finance at the scale necessary to meet the incredible need is an all-hands-on-deck effort. As other speakers today have mentioned, governments in the private sector and multilateral development banks must also do their work to go from millions to billions to trillions, the necessary effect of this transition. Today, I'm also submitting a new adaptation communication laying out how we will implement the global goal of adaptation, as well as announcing our first ever contribution to the Adaptation Fund. But our commitment is about more than just financing. That's a critical piece of it. But we're also going to support solutions across the board. In the lead up to this gathering, the United States joined our G7 partners to launch a Build Back Better World initiative. We also reconvened the Major Economies Forum on Energy and Climate to launch transformative actions and to raise ambition. And together with the European Union, we're launching a global methane pledge to collectively reduce methane emissions, one of the most potent greenhouse gases, by at least 30% by the end of the decade. More than 70 countries have already signed up to support rapid reduction of methane pollution, and I encourage every nation to sign on. It's the simple, most effective strategy we have to slow global warming in the near term. My friends, if we're to recognize that a better, more hopeful future of every nation has to do its part with ambitious targets to keep 1.5 degrees in reach and specific plans of how to get there, especially the major economies. It's imperative that we support developing nations so they can be our partners in this effort. Right now, we're still falling short. There's no more time to hang back or sit on the fence or argue amongst ourselves. This is the challenge of our collective lifetimes, the existential threat to human existence as we know it. And every day we delay, the cost of inaction increases. So let this be the moment that we answer history's call here in Glasgow. Let this be the start of a decade of transformative action that preserves our planet and raises the quality of life for people everywhere. We can do this. We just have to make a choice to do it. So let's get to work, and thank you. Those of us who are responsible for much of the deforestation and all the problems we have so far have an overwhelming obligation to the nations who, in fact, were not there, have not done it. And we have to help much more than we have thus far. God bless you all, and may God save the planet. Thank you.